Think this is a good time to do a check on some of these surprises, guys who kind of came out of nowhere this year and have been great for fantasy baseball until recently. Is the bubble bursting here, or do we just have to remain patient? Let's start with the earliest standout, maybe one of the breakouts for the Houston Astros, Ronel Blanco. That's right, the 30-year-old who came out of nowhere to become basically their best starting pitcher this season. Remember, he had that very early no hitter, and he's carried on his success. It looked like that was a great time to sell high, which maybe it still was, depending on what you got in return. But he's been solid throughout and really hasn't had that many bumps in the road other than that little suspension thing. But still, he's performed well. I mean, it's like we keep waiting for the other shoe to drop and it hasn't. Or maybe it has just now that the second half is here. Blanco is coming off his shortest outing since May 14th. He only lasted 4 and a thirds innings and was roughed up. And that also means that he's now given up at least 4 earned runs in his past two starts. Though on the flip side, he's still getting strikeouts. In his last outing, getting that really short one, he did rack up 9 strikes, which was a season best. And despite the fact he's now given up more runs, his season ERA really hasn't gone up that much. In fact, it's still at a pretty respectable 2.95. We'll still take that. Now, even if you ignore the last couple of starts, which weren't that bad really, you also have to wonder with the Astros obviously being buyers and in the market for starting pitching help, is Blanco really going to stay in the rotation all the way up until October? Or is he someone that could get shifted to the bullpen? Remember, they also have Justin Verlander on the verge of coming back finally from the IL. What about Luis Garcia, guy who's been gone forever? He might come back. What if they add an arm? So, altogether, this could mean the end for Blanco. Look, I'll say this. I was skeptical, of course, like a lot of us, about Ronel Blanco early in the season, but he has remained solid, consistent. I'm not too worried about these last couple of starts. A lot of players, including one pitcher I'll talk about a little bit later on, look, sometimes they just don't want that break to come, right? We all like the All-Star break, but sometimes these guys who are in a groove, they have a hard time kind of restarting things. I think he'll be okay, and I'm not worried about all those coulds and what ifs. Look, how do we even know Justin Verlander is going to stay healthy the rest of the season with all the problems he's had? Luis Garcia, come on, the guy hasn't pitched in over a year. And even if they do add an arm, I feel like they are going to keep Blanco in that rotation. So I won't say I'm completely not worried at all, but I'll set the panic meter for Blanco at a 6. Another starting pitcher who's been a revelation this year is Cutter Crawford of the Boston Red Sox. But like I just mentioned, some guys really don't enjoy that break. Ever since then, his two starts after the All Star break has been anything but what we've seen from him throughout this season. Has not lasted even 5 innings those last two starts, and he's given up 11 runs in the last 9 and 2/3 innings. Now, on the season, still a very good 3.60 ERA, a low whip. Crawford has been very solid. He had a rough patch kind of early in the middle part of the season. Some people panicked and he settled down. Will he do it again? Well, here's the question with Crawford. Not about his rotation spot. He's totally safe there. But what about the innings? Because this is a guy who's come from the bullpen to be a starter back and forth last couple of years. What about the total innings? Is there going to come a point where maybe not that they pull him, but is he going to maybe hit that wall? Is fatigue going to sit in? His major league high was just last year at 129 innings. At all levels, his single season high in innings pitched is 143 innings, and that came in single A ball back in 2018. Right now, he's sitting at 122 innings. So, is there going to be a change, or have we already started to see a decline because of fatigue? And here's the other thing. In those last two starts that Crawford had, he happened to have to face the Dodgers and the Yankees. He didn't exactly have an easy time of it. I loved Crawford before this season. I still like him now. This might even open a buy low window. Who knows? Right now, for me, panic meter is just a 5. Now, of all the big names in Baltimore, a guy who really went under the radar, I was saying all season, continues to be underappreciated, is Jordan Westberg. And now people are starting to realize, hey, this guy's been consistently good, showing some power, hitting for a decent average in the middle of that O's lineup. I mean, what else could you ask for? And you look overall, he's done it across the board. He's ranked in the top 20th percentile in expected batting average, expected slugging, xWOBA, barreled, hard hit rate, and more. Now he's still showing some pop, but is he slowing down though overall? Because in July he's only hitting 210. And did notice the other day that he got dropped from his usual spot of fifth in the batting lineup to sixth. It's not a huge drop, but still worth noting that the O's have noticed that maybe he's not hitting quite as much as he used to. Here's the question with a guy like Westbrook, though, on a team like Baltimore, which is obvious contender, but not just that. They're possibly in play to make a lot of moves, have some shifting pieces here. If we see guys like Jackson Holliday come back up for the stretch run, Connor Norby has already come up. Kobe Mayo could come up. If these guys aren't traded, is Westberg really 100% secure in his starting job, or are they just going to have to play a hot hand approach? I throw that all out there as a hypothetical situation because you do never know what could happen, but I'm not worried about all that. I'm just saying if you have Westberg and you've noticed, yeah, he isn't hitting quite as well, it's okay. A midseason lull happens to everybody. And least of all, let's remember this guy's a rookie, right? So he's kept that job. He'll be fine. He still gets you power. I mean, my concern here is very minimal. I'll set the panic meter at of 3. Then a young pitcher who's emerged as a great option when he's actually healthy is Brian Wu of Seattle. I mean, this guy was looking like a great waiver wire pickup because he wasn't drafted in a lot of leagues, but he just can't stay on the mound for very long. And I know anybody who has Wu is just saying, here we go again, because from his last start, got pulled early with a hamstring issue. I mean, he's been great this season in 11 starts, a 2.35 ERA, and a 0.98 whip. That whip is so low because he simply does not walk batters, period. One of the lowest walk rates in the entire majors. And you see there only guys like teammate George Kirby and some relief pitchers. I mean, he's got impeccable control. Only a few guys walk fewer batters than he does. But you get tired of these players who just can't stay off the injured list, right? Now, here's the thing with Wu, and I know I feel like I keep defending him, and maybe I'm a little overly optimistic here, but they say this hamstring issue is nothing major. He's probably not going to hit the IL again. He might not even miss his next start. And so I know it's frustrating when a guy doesn't go more than 5 innings. I will say if you're in a league that uses quality starts, he's much less useful. He still is useful because, of course, those ratios, but he's not a high strikeout pitcher. But if you're in a league that has wins, you're gonna want to still have some faith in Wu. He only needs to go 5 innings to qualify for a win. Seattle's a team that's still in contention. I like him, maybe irrationally behind him, but I am not too concerned here with Brian Wu. I'll set the panic meter at a 5. Right now, for the Dodgers, you could just go up and down that rotation and just panic all around because nobody is healthy very long there. But let's talk about the bullpen. All right. The Dodgers need to do something because their closer, as of last year, Evan Phillips, who was their main closer, it may not be very long. So there's the fact that he just had one of those nightmare outings where he didn't record a single out, gave up 4 consecutive hits, wound up allowing a couple of runs against Houston. There's another blown save. All right. Every closer has that happen once in a while. But this is just continuation of a trend. This whole month, he has only recorded 2 saves, and he's seen his ERA more than double. That's right, the ERA is up to 4.18 now, and that whip is also not very attractive at 1.33. So what we've seen now is that Phillips is working a little bit more in like the 7th, 8th innings, and they do have other guys there who could help out and take over that role. Guys like Alex Vesia, Blake Trainen, plenty of guys who have closing experience, and of course it's the Dodgers. They could always add somebody. In fact, by the time you watch this, they probably have already added like 2 or 3 relievers. Because the Dodgers are such a strong contender in general, this is exactly why you worry about a guy like this because his leash is very short and he keeps making it shorter by having bad outings like this. So I'd say if you got Evan Phillips, yeah, the panic meter's all the way up to a 9 right now. And then I feel like we almost can't do a panic video without talking about an Atlanta Brave. So let's go to Sean Murphy, who's probably still rostered in way too many leagues, over 2/3 of fantasy leagues somewhere that have Sean Murphy on them. I don't even think that needs to happen anymore, honestly, because he's not necessarily even the starting catcher there. In the 22 games that the Braves have played so far in the month of July, he started exactly 11 of them. By my math, it's about half. And he's not doing much to show that he should be playing more, hitting 189 over the past month, just 2 home runs and 4 RBIs. So there's the fact that Travis d'Arnaud has been objectively better than Murphy, and then also the fact that the Braves continue to struggle and are getting worse. Obviously, this latest skid where they can barely win a game, No Albies, already no Acuna. So many hitters struggling. I keep saying this over and over again. We don't have to look at this Braves offense anymore as anything intimidating. You got plenty of other options that have emerged at catchers, guys who are now starting to catch fire in the second half, like Gabriel Moreno, Austin Wells, other options that are just better. If you got Sean Murphy, you can move on. The panic meter here is, I guess, at 10. Going to continue to keep you up to date with all the latest who you should be worried about, whether you should hold or you should drop, and of course, who you should add on waivers. If you missed that, it's right here.